All right, what is happening, everybody? Welcome back. We are rolling and ready to go. This is episode 2 of Around the Bay. I am Steven. That is Natasha. We are back ready to highlight all the great happenings around the Bay Area in regards to baseball. Natasha, what's going on? How are we doing?
Doing good. I'm back in California, so it feels only right to be recording this podcast together in the same time zone. Feels good.
We are in the same time zone. That is a very cool thing these days. Is it like a culture shock coming back from New York to California?
It's actually so interesting. I hadn't driven a car in 3.5 months because the public transit's just so good over there. And I was a little frightened for a second. I was like, hopefully this is like riding a bike and I can just remember how to get back in gear. It worked out fine. Everyone was safe. All the roads were safe. Good to go.
That is a good thing. If I didn't drive for 3 months, then I feel like I would not deserve my license, if that makes sense.
I believe
Um,
you. I think you're a good driver. I've seen you.
yes. Okay, yeah, that's right. We went to Sacramento. I am safe, I'm responsible, and we got to Jalal Leach.
We did. If you guys haven't caught that, small plug, our interview show with Jalal Leach went live, I want to say a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. Great stuff. He is a pro scout for the Giants, and we had a great time talking with him in Sacramento.
Yeah, no, it went really good. That was a perfect segue to a plug. And we also had an episode that was released with Trevor Hildenberger. So go check that one out, former big leaguer and noted uh baseball I don't know what social media. What does he say? He's chronically online.
He's
I think
chronically
it's
online. Yeah.
chronically online, ex major leaguer, union savior, and minor league legend. That yeah,
Yes.
him. Him. He's
Oh,
him.
you know him.
Um yeah, everyone's favorite mutual, Trevor Hildenberger.
True.
But yeah, no, this is we're excited to get into some of the happenings around the Bay Area today. We'll talk ballers, A's, college, high school sports. We're gonna have it all for you now. First off, starting with the ballers, this is kind of an interesting story. They are brand new, as we know. They have not started. They're ready to, go in their inaugural season. We talked about this last episode, but they already have one of their guys kind of benefiting from the recognition with the Ballers, I guess, because one of their guys, Danny Kerwin, was just signed by the Boston Red Sox. So that's kind of a cool story. He won't pitch in Oakland, but instead, I mean, he had a stint where I guess he was employed, or not employed, but a member of the Ballers, and now he's a Red Sox.
There he goes. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I mean, obviously, like the independent league is cool. It gives guys and Kelsey Whitmore, some really illustrious women, the opportunity to play in an independent league and get their name out there. But for a lot of them, probably MLB is the goal and exciting for him. Bummer for the Ballers, but I think they'll still have an exciting season.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. From what I heard, it's like he threw a bullpen and posted it online, and then the Red Sox saw that, and I think it just goes to show the amount of power that social media has. Like you and I could do something right now and like, do a Guinness World Record, some type of Guinness World Record, and then we might get a call from Good Morning America in, tomorrow morning. Like
We
it's
should
that constant.
let's aim for that. How about it?
Yeah. I don't know what the world record would be. Maybe, we just podcast until the morning and then that's a record, but
Yeah,
um I don't know if that's a good idea for my computer and also our sanity. But
true. Fair
uh
enough. Maybe another time.
yeah, exactly. But just some background on Kerwin. He signed with the Ballers this December. And he is the first of what I probably think the Ballers are hoping many big leaguers to sign with the big league, or many players to sign with the big league club. Um he was supposed to, be in the rotation, I guess. He was going to compete for a spot. And then he said, quote, I am blessed to sign, or I'm blessed. I am blessed to sign with the Boston Red Sox, wishing Oakland the best of luck this summer. Go Ballers. So he's a New Jersey guy, Rider University. He was in the bullpen there. Um, so yeah, that's a cool story for him to kind of get recognized. So we love that for him.
Yeah.
Um, And then I guess out with the old, in with the new. I don't know if that's a good segue, but the Ballers signed a two-way player named Tyler Davis from Spring, Texas, went to Sam Houston University. Um, and they signed him to a contract for the 2024 season. He's a right-handed pitcher and he's a utility player. Played at Wichita State for 1 year, then Panola College, and then I mentioned Sam Houston for the last 3 years. Um, so this is a legit two-way player. A full season as a hitter at Sam Houston. He had the fifth highest batting average in D1 baseball. Um, and then also had like a 4.3 ERA on the mound. So we get
That's
some
awesome.
two-way action, so some variety with the Ballers.
Yeah, that's super exciting. I
Yeah,
was gonna say Shohei Ohtani, who?
exactly.
Just
Tyler
Josh.
Davis. Tyler Davis is going to be the Shohei Ohtani of the Pioneer League.
That would be great. I would love to see it.
And I feel like this is the type of situation where like they could have fun with that. They're trying to win, but like they could have fun with it.
Totally. I think not super similarly, but like the Savannah Bananas do such a fun thing on the field by ensuring that all of their players are two-way players in a different way. They all have like an interesting skill to show off, whether it be walking on stilts or dancing or, the many things that they've featured on their socials. I just think it's such an interesting way to change up the sport and like let these guys have fun, but also showcase their talents. And it makes for great, people get so excited. It makes for great social content, makes for great entertainment at games. The Ballers are definitely not going in that direction necessarily, but I think having a two-way player like Tyler Davis can make some exciting content for them, exciting games for them.
Yeah, like he's a guy that it's like you could have fun watching him pitch an inning, and then like the next inning he's gonna go deep. Like that's fun for people. And I
Yeah.
think anytime the Ballers could get some fun in their first season, it's gonna keep putting them on the map. And I'm glad that you mentioned the Bananas because newsflash, I'm going on May 10th in Sacramento at Sutter Health Park, the
Okay,
future
I was gonna
home of
say
the Oakland Athletics.
the future home of the Oakland Athletics. Great, great segue. As y'all may remember, we talked about this last week. The A's are going to be playing in Sacramento for the next few seasons, or at least until their Vegas stadium is built. We also, both Stephen and I, not entirely sure or convinced when and if that stadium will finish in Vegas. So we'll see how that goes, but they'll be playing where the River Cats play. Um, and there is a protest coming to Sacramento this weekend about that very situation. It's, obviously exciting to have something new, like a major league team in Sacramento, but there's also some drawbacks as well. And so people are sharing their feelings about it.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Like, Sacramento's, they open their arms to John Fisher and the Oakland A's, and I think anybody that opens their arms to John Fisher is due for some backlash. And as much as Sacramento wants to look like the good guy, and maybe in some ways they are, there is some backlash because of associating yourself and cuddling up with John Fisher. So the Oakland 68s don't like that. They're the group that has led a lot of these protests, and they're going to be doing this one too. I'm interested to see how many people get involved because a lot of people that go to River Cat games, from what I know, are trying to watch maybe the Giants prospects and it used to be an A's affiliate, so maybe there's still some leftover A's fans that are in Sacramento. I know there are actually, but I'd be interested to see how far this goes because it's a different organization.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like Oakland fans have every right to protest and are going to be an important part of this. But to your point, like there are plenty of Giants fans who consider Sacramento a Giants baseball town, and have already expressed concern over what having the A's at their field will do for the River Cats. So, will it cut into any development time? Will it change the way that they train? And these are completely valid concerns considering it is the step right before Major League Baseball for Giants prospect. So very curious.
Yeah. And I will say that the Las Vegas Aviators, I forgot to mention, that's who the River Cats are playing, and the Aviators is the affiliate of the A's. So that's a big part that I left out. But the last dive bar is also a part of this, and I'm reading a tweet that they sent out. They said, "Sell meets Sack. Time to introduce ourselves to Vivek." Vivek is the owner of the Kings, who also, I believe, has like a majority share of the River Cats. Last dive bar in the 68s are heading up north, and we want your support. Secure a ticket to the lawn, and so they are going to go inside the facility. So no, this is not a parking lot scheme. I shouldn't say scheme. That's bad. Secure a ticket to the lawn and let's pack the grass. Wear cell gear. Bring your flag and let's make sure Vivek hears us loud and clear. That's cool. So they're going to pack the little grassy berm out there in green.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
awesome.
Now hopefully it's not like dark green so they blend in, but
I know. No, it's a bright green. I actually have I have one. I should have worn it today.
yeah,
Missed
you have
opportunity.
there's the next 3 years you could wear the cell shirt.
That's true. That's true.
But no, that's gonna be interesting. So now I hope someone hits a home run so we could see it.
Yeah. Ooh, that would be so interesting how they would, I don't know, how they would
Yeah.
cover that.
And that would be crazy if like the cameras don't show it.
Yeah, exactly.
Um and just a giant note for the Giants note real quick. They got to use their lights. I don't know if Mark mentioned this with Carrie, but uh they got to use their lights. I know I'm going off on the side here, but it got me thinking when I said that if someone hits a home run in Sacramento, we get to see. We haven't seen the lights, and someone finally hit a home run in San Francisco, and Camilo finally came in a safe situation when he saw the lights. So,
Yeah.
what did you think about that?
I thought it was awesome. I have to say, I absolutely love a player entrance. I think they're so cool. I love the highlight reels. I love the lights. There was uh these were just installed at Oracle Park and there was a hilarious video of Camilo taking his last like bullpen pitch and then the lights dimmed to have his entrance and everyone was like, "Did the catcher catch the ball? Oh my God, he couldn't see." Worked out okay. The catcher's totally fine. But Camilo makes such a great entrance regardless of what the lights look like around him. It's just his aura, you might say, Stephen.
Aura.
So I think that the addition of some electronics really helps, in my opinion.
I agree. And the bullpen catcher, there's another angle where like there is a little bit of a light on down there, so maybe he was able to see it, but I
He
agree.
said that because it was Camilo, he caught it because Camilo always throws hit to the correct spots, but he would have been a little concerned with
Mhm.
some of the other members of the bullpen, which,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
That makes sense. For Rogers, like Tyler Rogers coming down under, like that would have been
Yeah.
weird. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I guess a natural segue back to Oakland is there's a closer in Oakland who might not be getting the same treatment at the Coliseum, but probably deserves it. How about that segue? Mason Miller is turning heads, and he got to do it. We'll talk about the series with the Yankees in a second, but he got to do it in a big way on a national stage. And Natasha, the baseball world is finding out about this guy, Mason Miller, flame-throwing right-handed pitcher who's closing games for the A's. And he's killing it right now. I think he struck out to close one of the wins on Monday. He struck out Volpe, Soto, and Judge on 14 pitches. So people are starting to get to know this guy a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's wild too, just considering the one Major League Baseball game I've been to this season was a Yankees game, and the Yankees, they're what are they, 17 and 10 at this point? They were lighting it up that game. They were hitting home run after home run. So for someone, a closer, let alone an A who, doesn't get a ton of they just don't get a ton of media coverage, and when they do, it's not often positive. For someone to be able to be so successful against that lineup, very impressive.
Definitely. And he's someone that like pitching ninja is gonna just adore and probably already does adore. Like he's gonna be featured there every night. And there's a CBS Sports article that came out that had some anecdotes on him, and some of the anecdotes are really cool. Like his fastball not only hits 100, but it averages 100.7. And that is a full mile an hour better than the next hardest thrower, who is Brewers righty Abner Uribe, which is crazy. I mean, he's hit 103, almost 104 miles an hour. He's got a bunch of other stuff. He's got a slider. Um, and he was a D3 collegiate pitcher in the Pittsburgh area. Um, and he landed, this is from The Athletic, landed a finance internship at a local hospital following his sophomore year, but required a drug screen, but his required drug screen was flagged as diluted. When Miller objected, the lab coordinator ran another test and told Miller there were two possibilities in play and, quote, neither is good. Either Miller had diluted the sample in an attempt to manipulate the outcome of the test, or he dangerously had high blood sugar, and then he was admitted that day and diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. That is a cool
That
story.
that is crazy. Oh my goodness.
So they thought that he faked the drug test, but he actually was a type 1 diabetic and he didn't know it.
That is wild. Wow.
So,
Wow.
I mean, that gives us a reason to root for this Mason Miller. Like, I mean, that's
Yeah,
cool.
totally agree. Wow, that's
I did not realize that at
I'm
all. But
speechless.
yeah.
Truly.
So in the article it says that he adjusted his diet, started training, and then, here he is now. He had some eligibility in college because of the pandemic and was drafted in the third round by Oakland. He does have an injury history. He he had a an injury with the UCL, and then missed the entire 2022 with rotator cuff strain, but as of right now, we knock on wood, he
Yeah.
is a big part in that Oakland bullpen, and it's a cool story. So I'm glad that we could
Yeah.
share that here.
Absolutely. Such a cool story. One thing too is, as baseball just gets faster and faster and you get guys who are averaging this high velocity, you're gonna have injuries. It's just
Yeah,
that's the name of the game at this point. And you see it across MLB and probably we'll start seeing it in AAA as well. So it is what it is. It is so cool when they can throw that fast and hit their spots. I think that's awesome. So I love to see it, but it does come with this, secondary. There are
yeah,
some injuries.
and it's unfortunate, and like I understand the obsession with velocity, but like MLB, I think has to realize that what they do trickles down to not just minor league baseball, but also college, high school, and little league. Like MLB has such a
Absolutely.
big influence. Like everybody's doing the Tatis shuffle around third base in little league. Like every
Yeah.
kid's doing it. Every kid is bat flipping. Like there's that effect, and it's the same effect with like style of play. Like if
Yeah.
velocity, like I was talking to a college pitcher at SF State for actually a Rizzocast episode, and that's going to go up hopefully soon. And he was talking about how like he can't get a professional opportunity around 89, 91 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And he's a good pitcher, but
Yeah.
like velocity's it.
Velocity is it. And it's kind of wild too, that like you mentioned, Little League kids like, nowadays, if they're showing any interest in pitching, they like their goal at this point is just to throw as hard as they possibly can. A lot of major league pitching staffs would rather work on them finding their placement than um working on their velocity. Because if you just don't have the velocity, you don't have it. And so very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, they're saying
Curious
like,
to
yeah,
see.
they're looking and they're like the best pitchers in the game throw this amount of speed. Now I'm
Mhm.
gonna try and get to that amount of speed. It's like,
Yeah, and
whoa,
when you start young, you're more likely to get there. So
yeah. But we love Mason Miller now. I didn't even know that coming in, and I just read that and I was like, wow.
yeah,
So
pretty cool.
that is a
Pretty
pretty cool
cool.
story. Um,
Um,
yeah, they split the series against the Yankees.
they did. They split the series against the Yankees. They're in Baltimore playing against the Orioles and took game one. Something interesting too that we just found out as well is that the A's are now 11 and 16. At one point they were 9 and 16, and they had only won 9 games last year by I want to say May. And at that point, they were 9 and 31. So it took them significantly longer to get to those 9 wins last season. And now they've already surpassed that. They're at 11 and 16. Um, That's not good necessarily, but as we talked about last time, and I feel like we are always talking about, the A's seem like they're superseding expectations this season and like finding some joy in lots of little things, things like Mason Miller. And I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting, especially for Oakland A's fans who have been through it the last, let's say, decade.
Yeah, no, and it seems like there's like a new hero every night. That's the kind of vibe that I get from this team. Like when I was there a few weeks ago, it was Lawrence Butler who had like a three-hit game and a walk-off. Um, Shea Langoliers and Mason Miller. And they have some starters, JP Sears, that there's some starters that are doing good things. So like they have kind of this cast of character where it's almost like the championship Giants, right? Where it's like a new player every night doing something. Like one night
Yeah,
it would be like Mike Fontenot hitting a walk-off, and then the next night Ryan Vogelsong 6-7 scoreless. Like it's a new person every night, and I think that's
totally.
kind of what's going on in Oakland. And you know, anytime you split a series in New York on that stage, and now, against the Orioles, I mean, they took game one. That it's a big deal. And I think I like the stat that you mentioned for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think it shows obvious improvement. And I don't know if it's like we can't do as bad as last season, like it's just impossible, or if it's like we did get better. But I do think they did get better
I
somehow.
do, yeah, I do think so as well. I think also like there's kind of a sense of just like resilience amongst the players who, I mean, everyone in baseball is talking about the future of the team and where it's going and where they're playing and all of these like extraneous variables. And ultimately, like these players are getting to live out their dream and play on an MLB field. And it feels like that gets overlooked in a lot of ways. And I think um, them continuing to play well and continuing to have cool stories come out of their clubhouse will hopefully shift them back into the conversation where they belong. And we'll have hopefully more to say about them instead of, you know, stadiums and protests, etc. soon.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah, without a doubt. And just to check in on a few former Giants there, JD Davis is now hurt. He's on the 10-day IL, but it is his birthday today. It's his 31st birthday at the time of this recording. Happy birthday, JD.
happy birthday,
Um,
baby.
and at the time of him going on the IL, he was hitting 196 with a 627 OPS. He did have a few homers. Um, but he was 10 for 51. So maybe he'll come back and mash, but wasn't looking too hot. And then former Giant, and there's some lore with Alex Wood. Did I use
Mm,
the word lore right? There's some lore
yep.
with Alex Wood. 6.59 ERA in six starts. So not the greatest start for him. Ross Stripling, 4.98 ERA in six starts. So, um, there's a checkup on some former Giants
It's a good checkup.
for sure. Um, all right, should we move on to the collegiate and high school? Let's do college first because
Yeah.
there is a big series this weekend.
There is a big series this weekend. My alma mater, UC Berkeley. They are playing the Stanford Cardinal this weekend. They had one game last night, two more games through the weekend. They did lose 6-8 yesterday, so hoping they can pull out a couple of wins to take the series, but we'll see. We'll see. The Cal Bears are 25-15, and Stanford is 18-21. Neither team doing all that hot, but we like to check in on them anyway.
Yeah, no doubt. And I was looking at some of the scores. Like there are some high scores
Yeah,
around the league in college, and I don't know if just like the pitching isn't good or the hitting is just too good or it's just a coincidence, but
smaller feel. I don't know, like marginally smaller.
yeah, I don't know what it is, but that's going to be an interesting series to watch for sure.
Yeah.
I was looking at some of like the leaders for um like offensively, and there's a guy named Court McDonald for Stanford who's hitting 343. Um, and for Berkeley, I was all, oh wait, where'd it go? Here we go. Berkeley, Caleb Lomavita, who's hitting 339. So those are the hitting leaders for both teams. Um,
Love.
and Court McDonald is an outfielder. He's a sophomore from Arlington, Texas, and he looks exactly what you would expect him to look like. Um, and then for Loma Vita, he is, as his player profile loads, he's a junior. He's a catcher from Hawaii, and he went to St. Louis High School in Hawaii. Um,
Wow. We
so
should ask Mark about him because Mark likes to keep up with the Hawaiian baseball landscape since that's where he grew up.
I'm sure Mark knows about Caleb Lumavita. I'm sure
I'm
he
sure, yeah.
does. From I'm gonna butcher the name, Iwa Beach, Hawaii. Um, but yeah, really cool to see some Hawaii rep with those
Yeah.
teams, and maybe we could get him on one of these shows
Yeah.
on the network. But on the network, I've always wanted to say that.
This is the network. It's Bayside Baseball Network. It's a
Bayside
big,
Baseball Network. We're a part of a network.
yep. Yep.
Yeah. Um, I guess final thing before we wrap. Some high school stuff too. We didn't touch on high school stuff last time, but there are some high school stuff going on. We have the standings for the WCAL, the West Catholic Athletic League, which there's a lot of professional players that come from this league. I am an alumni of this league. I am not a professional player, but it's my claim to fame that I played against possibly some. Um, and Sarah High School, who produced James Outman, Barry Bonds, Tom Brady, Hunter Bishop, a bunch of others. They're now 8-1 as of April 20th. I can't find the updated standings, but going into this week, they were 8-1 in league, and then season they were 7-3. Valley Christian in San Jose was 7-2, 19-2 overall. Then there's Sacred Heart Cathedral, Archbishop Mitty, St. Ignatius, Bellarmine, St. Francis, and then shout out to Reardon, who's 0-9 in league play. Um, but St. Francis, who you mentioned off air that you grew up near St. Francis, they're 8-12 overall this season. So
Yeah, I did. I grew up down the street from there and I went to public school in the area. And so we played one game against them and I was a softball player. They always beat us so badly, but their fields were beautiful and I loved playing there.
yes, beautiful field, one of my favorite trips every year for baseball. Um, and we should mention Bellarmine. Not only did Pat Burrell attend Bellarmine, Mitch White, new Giant, attended Bellarmine.
Exactly.
So
Exciting for him. I did read that he grew up a Dodgers fan, so he might have been happier when he was a Dodger, but welcome to the Bay Area, Mitch White.
yes, and as you may expect, there's a Farhan connection. But even if like I feel like even if there's no Farhan connection and you're a Bay Area guy, it's almost like come on down, you know.
Come on down. Give us a try.
Um, and by the way, Rowdy Telez's Pittsburgh Pirates are in here, so it's a welcome home for him.
That is true.
So he
Welcome
is
home adjacent. He's actually from Sacramento, so
Bay Area, he says.
true.
Somebody I forget who it was, and it was somebody in the Giants media actually who during the River Cats Giants exhibition game, they said baseball's back in the North Bay. I was like, baseball's what in the what Bay? That's not the North Bay.
That's very gratuitous. That's a gratuitous reading.
Gosh, but yeah. Anyhow, and the playoffs for the WCO playoffs, by the way, we're maybe I'm gonna try to get down there. It's the week of May 7th. It's May 7th. That's round one. And then round two is semifinals is the next day, and then the next day after that are the finals. So pretty cool to see that. And then in the city, I know a lot of people are listening maybe in San Francisco. Division One for high school baseball in the city. Lowell High School is undefeated at 11-0 in league play, and then overall record of 15-5. And then there's a one tie, which is kind of lame. Um, but Lowell High School is really killing it.
Yeah. Um, it's definitely a school that's known for academic strength, so was a little surprised to hear that, but excited for them nonetheless.
Yeah,
I
they
should
were
try and
always
get up to a
tough.
game, honestly.
Yeah. We were thinking we are like we should go down and like maybe do an interview because their
Yeah.
playoffs are coming up too, and um, Lincoln and Washington are at 7-4, Galileo's at 4-7, the Academy 3-7, and then Phillip and Salaberton at 0-11. It has not been a fun time for them
No.
um, at all. And
These
then
scores are kind of outrageous too, right? Like
yeah,
we're talking like 15-0 and 6-0, and that number wasn't as exciting as 15, but there's some, there's some wild scores.
some wild scores. And I completely could guess why there's wild scores. It's probably because teams ran out of pitching and there's just a lot of walks. That's
Yeah.
my assumption of what's going on. And then there's also Division Two. Um, Balboa High School is 10-1. Mission is 9-1. Wallenberg 6-5. Cal Academy 2-6. KIPP, KIPP, I don't know what that stands for, 3-10. And then John O'Connell does not have a record. So I'm inclined to believe that they are not having a season, but
Didn't put a team together, maybe.
maybe they didn't put a team together and they couldn't fill out a team, so they are not participating, which is disappointing for the kids that probably did want to play. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's
More to
high school
investigate there.
roundup. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's a story.
Yeah, we
We
should
could
look into it.
we should look into why John O'Connell is the sixth team in the standings for Division Two and doesn't have a record. It's literally dot dot. So, something worth looking into.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I think this was ended up turning out to be a good episode. We got a lot covered, and there's always a lot going on in the Bay.
So much baseball in the Bay. We're here to bring it to you.
Should we plug our socials before we dip?
Um, absolutely. You can find me at the Frisco Bay everywhere. That's me.
And you can find me at Steven Risotto everywhere. And I'm just now realizing that I put the wrong Bayside Baseball in my bio. The person with the handle Bayside Baseball actually has 4 followers and does not have a profile picture, so I have to change that.
Definitely change
Um,
that.
but our base our Bayside Baseball handle is at Bayside Baseball, but the L, there's one L in the
There's
Twitter.
one L, and I'll tell you the story behind that. I'll give you the lore.
Yes.
It's
Second time
because
using that
there's
word,
a
by the way.
it's because there's a character limit on usernames on Twitter, and they would not allow for one more L. And so Mark and I talked about it a little, and he was like, "Do you think that's fine?" And I was like, "I think it's gonna be okay. It's People will be like, wow, quirky."
Yeah.
Everywhere else, we're Bayside Baseball with 2 L's, and a dot in the middle. So
Yeah. There
we'll
we
plug
go.
those as well. You can find us online talking about, you guessed it, baseball. So
Baseball. We are baseball junkies here. We have no intentions on changing. Anyhow, leave us comments, reviews, thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button. A lot more stuff coming soon, and we will see you next time.
thank you.